Now, let's see what the leader of the free world was up to earlier today. Yes, the President of the United States was on the roof of the White House.
Sir, why are you on the roof?
Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
What are you looking at?
Talk to us.
How does the new Rose Garden look?
The bar open on the other side. Are you Hello, Peter. Looking good, Peter.
Looking good, Peter. That would be Peter Doocy. And the President was quite happy to answer questions from the roof.
Are you going to build up here? What does that mean? More ways to spend my money. Can you give us another hint? We'll show you. It's just another way to spend my money for the country. Anything I do is financed by me, so in other words, contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that.
Oh my, as Greg Gutfeld is keen on saying, we don't deserve him. Let's bring in political advisor and commentator CJ Pearson. CJ, that was just fantastic fun earlier today. How can you not love that? Though I do imagine the Secret Service may have been a little bit concerned.
A little bit concerned to say the least, Rita. Thank you so much for having me. I got to tell you, this is actually a reminder of the fact that President Trump is not just our commander-in-chief, but he's our builder-in-chief. This is a guy who is fully invested in the renovations that he's, directed to occur at the White House. And he is absolutely not letting anything go without his say-so or his notice here. But also, too, can we just talk about the fact that we went from a president who couldn't even go upstairs in Joe Biden to a president who's now taking questions from the media on the roof of the White House? Like, what an upgrade we have here.
Yep, CJ, we've had so many memorable moments in this second term already. Too many to recap right now, but this is going to be right up there. Now, let's get an insight into the woman Trump beat in 2024. You'll recall the Teamsters refused to endorse Kamala. The Labor Union was expected to endorse her, but it didn't happen, and here we get an insight into why. Here is union leader and president of the Teamsters with Tucker Carlson.
They were trying to negotiate with us. She only wants to answer 3 questions. We're like, there's 16 questions here. So she answers 3 of them, and on the 4th question, one of her operatives or one of her staff slips a note in front of me. This will be the last question. And her declaration on the way out was, I'm going to win with you or without you.
She thought that or said it out loud?
She said it out loud.
That's insane.
So
that's crazy behavior, actually, if you think about it.
It was insane behavior, which at that point in time, I knew she was going to lose.
CJ, was she really that delusional, or was that just bluster? She probably never thought the Teamsters wouldn't back her.
I think you're exactly right. I think she took their support for granted. You asked the question, was she delusional? I don't know. Maybe she was off a few too many shots of vodka. But to be quite frank with you, the way that she treats union boss is probably a lot in the way that Democrats treat black voters in this country, which is why we saw black voters break for Republicans in a way in which we've never seen before. So many young black men came over to President Trump because they realized that Democrats actually don't give a damn about us. They don't give a damn about our vote. And so, it's not surprising to me to hear about that amount of hubris coming from someone like Kamala Harris. But, it's exactly why she lost. She took the vote for granted. She didn't want to work hard. And that's exactly why she's unemployed. And President Donald Trump is the 45th and 47th president of these United States.
Now, we did see Trump do pretty well with black men, particularly young black men. The Hispanic vote across the board was extraordinary for Trump, Asian vote, the migrant vote in general. But black women are probably, they are the strongest voting bloc for the Democrats. Would be, 90% plus voting for the Democrats in that demographic. Do you see that changing anytime soon? Because it seems to be a fairly staunch supporter base.
I hope so. You're exactly right about the problem that exists here. But I think that, for me, I've always said if we're actually going to change the direction of the black community and rid them of their allegiance to the Democrat Party, we've got to go after black men first. Because here's a story about the black community in America. It's a very evangelical Christian community, right? Where many people view the men as the head of the household. If we can change the hearts and minds of young black men, changing an entire generation of political trajectory for the black community, then I think that we will eventually win over black women. We will eventually win over young black children who are future voters. And so, black women is definitely a challenge for us. All women have actually been a challenge for us here in the States due to the emergence of the abortion issue as such a hot button topic here. But at the same time, I think that the inroads that we've made with young black men, particularly here in the States, show us that we actually should be a little bit optimistic about what's to come.
Well, one powerful black woman is Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She's been making headlines again. She's threatened to beat down Republicans and launched into more foul-mouthed attacks against the president.
Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that. Yes, he is.
CJ, how do you see Jasmine Crockett? Some are talking her up as a future leader of the Democrats. Others are less charitable. I fall into that latter category. How do you see her?
I see her as a fake and a fraud, to be quite frank with you. This is a woman who attended private schools as a child growing up. This is a woman who went to an elite law school. And she wants to act as if she is some common day, everyday hood rat. That is not actually accurate in any way whatsoever. And I think it's actually offensive. And it says a lot about how the Democrat Party views the black community in this country, that they would platform someone like this, make her change her entire way of speaking even just to appeal to so-called black voters. It's disgusting. It's demeaning. And honestly, it's indicative of what I like to call the soft bigotry of low expectations. I think the black community should deserve to be spoken to just like any other demographic of people. And Jasmine Crockett obviously doesn't view us highly enough to give us that same type of respect that she would give her white supporters and white donors.
Well, talking about fakes and frauds, let's have some breaking news on Adam Schiff. This was reported on Fox News earlier today that the Democrat senator is under criminal investigation for mortgage fraud. What more can you tell me about this, CJ?
It's an insane story. This is an individual who apparently, claimed a primary residence, of course, in California, the state where he represents, albeit poorly, but also claimed another property, which, of course, amounts to mortgage fraud. What this story actually reminds us of, and to remind all of our viewers of here, is that Democrats are everything they accuse Republicans of being. They call us lawbreakers. They're the lawbreakers. They call us, completely ignorant of the rule of law. They are ignorant of the rule of law. And thank God now we have actual DOJ that's committed to actually rooting out actual crime and fraud and abuse. And Adam Schiff, as someone who was one of the leading gaslighters when it came to the Russia collusion hoax, I'm glad to see now that he is finally being kind of examined under the spotlight, which is long overdue.
Now, CJ, before you go, the New York Post has a report today on how Donald Trump was debanked by two of America's biggest banks, JP Morgan and Bank of America. And it appears that the January 6th riot was used by the Biden administration's banking regulators and the Federal Reserve to put pressure on banks to deny service to Donald Trump. This is sinister stuff, CJ. How widespread was this?
Incredibly widespread. And this isn't just sinister. It's just downright disgusting, right? I think that when you have an entire ideology of people who are treated as second-class citizens in a country that supposedly believes in freedom of expression and freedom of speech, that is no longer the America that I know. It's not the America that I love. And I think, there is this lie that existed for a long time that Joe Biden was going to be the centrist president, right? The centrist Democrat who would govern from the middle. Everything that we learn more about this president and the way in which he conducted himself shows us to be that was absolutely untrue. He was a radical puppet who was controlled by his puppeteers and who weaponized the entire government against a class of people who did not believe as he did. And so I think that, again, investigations must ensue. We must figure out who actually called these shots to execute the weaponization of government against a private citizen, as Donald Trump was at the time, isn't just grossly wrong, but it reeks of criminality. And I think that we need to take a hard look at that and get justice where it is deserved.
CJ Pearson, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you so much, Rita.